The MKT Show. I'm MKT. Welcome to it, sports fans. It is Friday, the 14th of May, 2021. Great to be with you. Great to be with you. Want to have a great finish to this week. In fact, it's been a good week. I want to finish off strong. Last night, Man United losing to Liverpool. Not a good feeling, I'm pretty sure. Chelsea have released what is ultimately the worst sporting kit possibly ever released as their home kit for next season. So that's another thing. I don't know what's going on with the kit and the shorts. It is an absolute disaster class. It's a disaster class. We won't have a disaster day though. We got a cool show today. We got a cool guest coming in. I'm a big fan of school rugby. I think it is the most professional organization and body in South African sports and possibly African sport, to be honest with you. School rugby run brilliantly. Smartest people in this country. Smartest sporting administrators, they all work in the sporting rugby space. We have the head of Northcliffe Sports and their first team rugby coach today. Really looking forward to having Mr. Jordan in. That's going to be a fun convo. We'll talk a little bit of rugby and just talk about developing student athletes. I'm looking forward to that. I like that conversation. Sport, a huge part. You know what, to be honest with you, the only reason I went to class was I had to do it in order to play sport. I want to be honest. I was not an academic. I didn't connect with teachers. But hey, sport was that carrot for me. It was it. And still is, really. It's the only thing I love and enjoy. And it's an awesome thing, right? It's great for young athletes, men and women today. Hey, changes lives. So really looking forward to speaking to somebody who's passionate about what he does and his athletes, and more so the people that they become and how they contribute to society. Really looking forward to having Mr. Jordan in. Should be fun. I'm not alone though. And today is, of course, Friday. We'll start off with the Friday 5. I'll tell you the 5 greatest Portuguese players I've ever seen in my time. The top 5. You know, with Ronaldo on the move, I thought I'd give you the top 5 greatest Portuguese players in modern day football. You know, Eusebio's not on the list. I'll spoil it for you now. I never saw him. I'm not big on going on mythology. If I didn't see you play, I don't want to pretend like I saw you play. I hate it when people do that. So, top 5 Portuguese players of all time. Speaking of somebody, not Portuguese, very South African, very much an oak. Douchebag glasses, drama kid, went after, representative of a whole coffee company, beloved in Vietnam. Not as much as his brother, but beloved in some sense because he influences coffee. Beard guy, girlfriend having guy. He drives a sporty car. He'll go anywhere for his girlfriend. He's shown that because he's willing to go to the middle of the Northwest, which is basically the desert, and it is boiling hot. His name, ladies and gentlemen, James Jimbo Ellingsley.
Hi there. How are you doing?
What's happening, bro?
Not an awful lot. It's Friday.
It is Friday.
Feeling good. I'm trying to get this stream to stop being annoying.
Yeah.
But
if we are having technical difficulties, apologies. It's not us. There's some stuff happening. Don't worry about it. We'll power through. Don't worry about it, Jimbo. We're going to power through. How are you doing?
I'm great.
Yeah.
I am phenomenal. It's Friday.
Yeah.
It's the weekend. Going to have a great show today.
You got a bit of a bedhead thing going today.
Do I?
Yeah.
It's not looking good.
No, I don't know if you're going for that look. Is it a...
I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I should have spent a little longer on my hair this morning.
No, you look good. You look good. It's just different, slightly different look. Maybe the hair's getting longer. It's getting out of control. Maybe get a haircut. You know what I'm saying?
I do need one.
Yeah.
And it is probably what my mom is yelling at the TV currently.
Oh, is she watching?
She does.
Does she put it up on the TV?
Yeah, so they've got an Apple TV, and then she puts it on the TV,
Oh
and then she does stuff around the house,
Yeah.
and then it just kind of plays in the background.
Oh my goodness gracious! Has her life has hit rock bottom? Huh? This show for 2 hours on her TV that she's worked so hard to be able to afford, and now she's got us two on. How bad can life get?
Look, I mean, I'm not so terrible. I'm the favorite son. But you, on the other hand.
Yeah, you're the favorite son, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, this is incredible scenes. Your mother moved 1,000 kilometers away from you.
Yeah.
She loved you so much.
She is following her dreams.
Is this how you've justified it?
And Joburg is not a safe place.
Yeah, it's true.
So.
Oh, okay. So that's how you've justified. Man, that's awesome, Jimbo. Whatever you need to get to sleep at night.
Whatever floats your goat, huh?
Yeah. Goats are great. Milk, cheese, meat, all good.
All of them are good things for you.
You had goat jollof before.
Sorry?
You don't know what jollof is. James, very much a northern suburbs guy, never really left his bubble. Jollof, probably one of the best meals you could ever have. A West African dish.
Okay.
There's a big competition between Nigerians and Ghanaians. So never ever tell a Nigerian that Ghanaian jollof is better, by the way. That is a real
Not
thing.
the move.
Oh my gosh. When my sister left Cape Town, her Nigerian and Ghanaian friends cooked 2 different jollofs, and it was a jollof-off.
It was a what?
A jollof-off. Hyphenated. So if you do know any Nigerian people, you'll know what I'm talking about. You know any Ghanaians, you know what I'm talking about. James, get yourself to a West African restaurant. Get yourself goat jollof. Oh, rice jollof. Get out of here. Oh,
okay,
and they make it spicy, and it's not like this. You know when you go to these rubbish restaurants that I've seen you eating food from, right? And they do spicy food,
Yes.
like these rubbish chain restaurants that people eat from, including yourself, James, that I've seen you actually bring food in here, and it's revolting. But okay, I'm not here to judge. You know, I'm not a judgmental person. But they make it too hot; it kills the food. But you know, like I'd imagine your mom. You've always said your mom's a good cook.
Oh, the bestest.
The best, huh? Your stepdad,
Yes.
chef,
Yeah.
cooking guy. He's there,
Making the moves.
moving, grooving.
Yeah.
Got the music on, a
Yeah.
little bit of wine. Does he? He doesn't look in a recipe book. It's in his bones, right?
Exactly.
Love that. Puts his soul into the food, and you know when that sauce, and the like some food can be so hot it kills the food.
Yes.
But sometimes, when people cook it properly with the natural spices and they know what temperature to so actually it accentuates the food. It makes the food better instead of actually killing it on the plate.
Accentuate.
Yeah, so that's what a spicy jollof when it's cooked with natural spices, and it takes forever, by the way. It's like a 3-4
But
hour.
does it have to be spicy? I don't like spicy foods.
Oh, I forgot. White guy. White people do not do spicy well, huh?
No.
They don't. Mayonnaise. What do you like? Did you like? What's the spiciest you'll go? Peri-naise.
Probably green Tabasco.
Oh man.
Which I'm kind of proud of. It's jalapenos, so
Northern suburbs tummy, huh?
yeah.
Hey, listen. If there's anyone I would imagine can't handle hot food, it's you, James.
My
Just-
stepdad puts like half a bottle of Tabasco on his food.
Oh really?
Yeah, like a lot.
Is
Like,
he
he's
South
in-
African guy? Or
No,
where's your
he's,
stepdad from?
he's from Tottenham in the UK.
Oh, UK guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they'll have a bit of that.
Oh, he douses his food in hot sauce.
So he's from North London, huh?
North London.
He's one of the lads.
He's one of
so
the
he's rough and
boys.
tough, because listen, that is not a great area to live in, by the way. North London. Whoo!
It's not advisable, I've heard.
And good for him for being British and getting into food, because let me tell you one thing about British food. And I don't know if your stepdad watches this show, but I know he'll agree. Probably one of the worst diets in the world. What they do is pub food and like brown food. They still like have war food. All the good restaurants, especially in London, that are good are like Argentine, Thai. The British diet is revolting. Like revolting.
Deep fried fish and chips and
Yeah, I guess they are port. You know, they're an island in the middle of nowhere, in fairness. Nothing grows on that wet island, I guess.
wow.
What grows there? You can't grow any nice tropical fruit. It's wet half the time. Do you know, not a one tea is grown in England because the soil won't allow tea to grow. So no tea is grown in England. A real thing.
So the motherland of tea doesn't even grow tea in their own country.
The British Empire, when they went out, you must remember India, Africa, they kind of owned those spaces and still do, some might say. What's this stuff growing in here? What are you guys up to over here? You seem to drink that. That seems to relax you. That's delicious. We're going to have that.
And we're going to make it our own, and we're going to make the world think that we
Yeah.
started tea.
But listen, Brits, they've done so much. Industrial revolution, banking. You know, everyone's done good and bad.
Multiple.
They've done a lot. One thing they have failed at is food. Oh, and do you know what they love in London or the UK? The pub eating thing. Oh,
Like the pub
yeah, just like
Pub
we're
grub.
going to the pub to eat as well.
vibes. I can get behind that. I could actually
You're a pleb, huh?
have a beer,
Oh, my, it's revolt.
have like some nachos. Yeah, I could get behind that.
Down a pub.
Yeah, I could.
Pubs are not
I'm
a
a
place
man
to
of
eat.
simple tastes.
You are, huh? So humble, James.
Look, being perfect doesn't come easy.
Yeah, sure.
But I try.
Good thing for your stepdad, he married a South African because we've got. Listen, we have incredible food in this country. We are,
Better thing, married an Afrikaans South African.
you know what?
Milk
Because
tart, malva pudding.
yeah,
It's just
a
a whole.
potjie.
There you go.
What's another Afrikaans? Okay, we're in it now. Potjie, they love a bit of that.
Sure.
Bobotie.
Yeah.
What else?
No, but Bobotie is more Indian, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
embarrassing.
That's ox.
Yeah.
Biltong en 'n braai on
Ja,
a Saturday.
Frikkie, waar's hy choppies? I love a bit of choppies on the braai. The Afrikaans folks, eh?
We apologize if we've offended anyone.
No, it's okay. Listen, it's okay to be offended. What it's not okay is to presume because you're offended, you're right. So it's okay. If you're offended, I'm okay with that. You're not right, though.
I'm just upset that we kind of got stuck at braai. That's where we ended with the Afrikaans thing.
That's
Can
fine
we
for
not
me.
think of anything else?
No, why are you saying we? No, don't project. I'm not Afrikaans. You are the embarrassment to the great nation of Afrikaansville. You. This is why they don't invite. Do you know why your mom moved all the way to 1,000 kilometers away?
Because I'm a disappointment and she doesn't love me.
Like every obviously she wants to have family around and she thinks, "Ooh, my other two sons do actually know about Afrikaans stuff and our culture, and you know we've built so many universities, and you know the Afrikaans nation's done so many great things." And my son pitches up. We sent him to the Soti school in the middle of the northern suburbs of Johannesburg. Barely sounds Afrikaans. Ugh. I don't want to be mean to him. He's a sensitive guy. Let's just move, and he'll think, oh, we're living out our dream. But actually, they're having family functions every weekend. They're flying everyone down every weekend. Don't worry about it. James isn't here. Nobody tell him. There's 2 family groups.
Just really sad now.
It is a little bit tough to hear, actually. So it's tough to break it to you that way. But James, didn't mean to hurt your feelings. But it is what it is, dude. You're not a good Afrikaans dude.
It is too late. You, along with YouTube have hurt my feelings because just nothing seems to be going right in this sphere of things as well as this sphere of things, and it's just
You got to stay professional. Listen, we'll say it for the last time. If we are currently experiencing technical difficulties. If you're with us on YouTube, by the way, if you are on YouTube, please click like. That's the thumb up. Click that one. And that'll help us on the algorithm.
Or if you want, you can click the thumbs down. We're not telling you what to do.
Yeah, if you do like it. Please bear with us. We are experiencing some technical difficulty today. But we'll do what we can. And we are doing what we can. But we'll stay strong in all of this. James Illingsley, the worst Afrikaans person in the world. And his mom, wow, what a ruse, huh? They had to move all the way.
Sure.
I bet they are having potjie parties every weekend. No James. None of his yuppie stuff. Is your girlfriend Afrikaans?
Yes.
Oh, what a nightmare for her family. So they probably they probably ask her, when's he coming over? Okay, we're not inviting family on that weekend. Do you know what I mean? When you come, it's like, oh, why is there no one ever here? This is amazing.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I'm just that guy that, people invite when they don't have the family weekends.
You know, it's hard, dude. I just realized what your situation is right now. You are in it. Man, there is nothing tougher. I mean, this is a tough question. Well, nobody knows who your lady is. Does she live with both her parents?
Yes.
You're in a situation because I know Afrikaans. Are they like proper Afrikaans? Of course they are. They live on a plot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Afrikaans dads are maybe the most difficult human beings in the world to impress.
Nah, he's super chill.
That's what you think.
He's super chill.
And you are, James, you are about as northern suburbs gets. You must be a nightmare for him. He's thinking, oh my God. I mean, why couldn't she bring home a frick? There's so many frickies out on the plots there. Oaks are probably mauling sheep or whatever. What do? You wrangle the sheep every day.
Mauling sheep.
Barefoot in winter. And here comes southern suburbs hipster guy with his
good old James
Jurgen Klopp douchebag glasses. And do you bring your beard products with you? Like, I can imagine how he loves that. His daughter's dating someone and you guys share hand cream. Imagine that. Imagine what that's like for him.
So, firstly, I don't have beard products. Secondly, my hand cream.
Yeah, you probably should. Your girlfriend shouldn't be using your hand cream. I hear you. I know where that was going.
I was just gonna say my hand cream stays in my car, and then I realized how metrosexual and northern suburbs.
Oh my God! Yeah. Oh man! Yeah, because you don't. It's too expensive. You don't want to share your expensive hand cream with anyone. Not even your girlfriend. You don't love nobody. You don't love anybody that much.
I think you deserve my damn ham cream. Ham cream.
Ham cream.
Hand
cream.
Hand cream.
Yeah. That's tough. Listen, we've broken some news today. James struggling with his potential father-in-law. I don't know what you call it when it's just your girlfriend's dad, his parents, his mom.
Struggling with many things.
Who seems lovely, moved 1,000 kilometers away from James just to get away from him. And there's 2 family WhatsApp groups. That is so hard for James to hear. Possibly the worst Afrikaans person in the world. Doesn't know any other meals outside of potjie and what was the other one? Chops.
Boerewors.
Just want to say one great treat that the Afrikaans nation has given all of us, and I don't know if Afrikaans people invented this, but droewors, when made correctly, is the food of the gods.
Yes.
It is the food of the gods. But it's so hard to get right. Because what you got to do is you got to make sure that you use the right fat, all right? Some people make that mistake of using, I think it's pig fat.
Yes.
Terrible angle. You want to use the sheep fat. I think it's the
sheep
angle.
fat, boys.
That's where you want to go, and then it's not like, you know that feeling
stuck on the top of your tongue
when it's horrible.
Mouth,
yeah, when it's horrible in your mouth, and then you ate it like 4 hours ago, but it still feels like you've
like
got whale blubber in your
yeah.
mouth. Yeah,
like the top of your mouth is greased.
Yeah, just the whole. That's when people make the mistake. But a shout out Afrikaans people in droewors. I mean, you've done other stuff, I'd imagine, as a community. I don't really want to get into it, but droewors, shout out to that. Jimbo, we are a sports show.
Before we do jump into sports,
let's hear it.
I do have breaking news.
Okay.
And I hope people hear this because I know this stream is breaking. And I'm trying to fix it. I promise I'm trying. But I do have breaking news.
Let's hear it.
So last night, I got an email from the YouTube page. And it said that we had a comment on one of our videos.
Okay.
We are no longer a sports show, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
The comment says, I'm starting to really enjoy the movie segment of the show from Tabo.
All right.
We are no longer a sports show. We are now multimedia sports entertainment
Yeah,
show.
just a sports entertainment, a global, worldwide show is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Pop culture sports entertainment. Trying to think of like the longest, most elaborate name ever, but I can't think of anything.
I like it. So we're that, huh?
We are no longer just a sports show.
That's good. That's the breaking news. All right. Let's get to some of the sports stuff we do. Big guest coming up. Looking forward to having Meneer Jordan in here in about 45 minutes. Stay with us. That's going to be very, very cool. Northcliffe, first team rugby coach. That's going to be awesome.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, that's going to be cool.
It's going to be interesting, I think, to see because obviously being in school and stuff, you like see the coaches and they like training the first team, but like you don't actually know what goes on, if that makes sense.
No, I played high level sport in my whole school. I knew exactly what was going on all the time.
No, but like behind the scenes you would, but like I wouldn't because
No.
I'm the weird drama.
Yeah,
kid.
you're a drama kid. Yeah,
And
So-
I'd be there on the Saturday to watch the first team,
Yeah.
but that's about it.
Yeah.
I'd sing the war cries and it'd be a really great time, don't get me wrong, but
By the way, it doesn't make me better than you just because I played high level sport and you didn't. I'm just saying, to what you were saying, I knew exactly what was going on all the time with coaches. It was very, 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 very tight knit, especially if you're in the first team. So no, I didn't know what you meant there, and but we'll find out. Maybe the school I was at isn't like him. He's like intense, right? And also, you were in school like 15 minutes ago, James. For you, it's still pretty raw. Yeah, I'm saying.
I was. It was exactly 6 minutes ago.
All right, let's get into it. The Friday Five. Cristiano Ronaldo's on the move. He's on the move. I think he'll move. I think he should move. Now, whether he does is a whole different story. So I'm going to give you the 5 greatest Portuguese players of all time, especially in modern day football. All right, let's get into it. At number 5, his best years were actually at Porto. He never quite actually hit his peak. The stories came out, him and Brazilian superstar Ronaldinho at Barcelona went a little left there, and he liked the lifestyle. He liked the lifestyle, but his best years were at Porto. That should tell you everything. It was under Mourinho, and listen, he still got 2 Champions League titles and a whole lot of league titles. At number 5, midfield maestro, Brazilian-born Portuguese convert, Deco. An absolutely brilliant midfield player. Real tempo controller. And my gosh, the vision. Superb player. Deco at number 5. At number 4, listen, this guy didn't have the accolades, right? And purely based on his ability, if it was just an ability thing, he'd be top 2. But because of his style, again, flair players, they don't always sort of have the grit, but superb. Probably the best technical player I've seen from Portugal of all time. Football phased out the number 10 as he is. It started to do that around 2002, 2003 when he was at his peak. He also played with Kaká at Milan. That did not help. He had to play in a deeper role. He didn't really have an engine. He didn't want to do the scrapping in midfield. They had Seedorf, they had Ambrosini anyway to do that side of things. But we'll have the 2 years at Fiorentina with Gabriel Batistuta forevermore. Ladies and gentlemen, at number 4, the great Manuel Rui Costa. Brilliant player. Superb hair as well. At number 3, listen, I've always been quite confused about this guy. Because everyone kept telling me he was great. And he made the sacrilegious move. He made the move from Barcelona to Real Madrid. Ugh, that's ugly. We remember the pig's head being thrown at him. But I've always seen him as the Portuguese Maradona. Where I really think the legend is bigger than the ability. Because I watched him play live. I saw it. I was watching football. I was at the right age to watch football while he was playing. And I was always confused what the pull was. Okay, great pro, great career. But I never saw this Ballon d'Or figure. I don't know what it was. I just do not know what it was. Great career, lots of winning. You got to say, lots of winning. And a superb pro from everything I've read about him. I do like him. He's now involved with UEFA. Ladies and gentlemen, the 3rd best player I've ever seen from Portugal is Luis Figo. I'm sorry, I've never understood the allure. I don't know what made him better than Nedved. Nedved was clearly a better player. I don't think he was better than Del Piero in his time. But the Portuguese press and the mass media, listen, he's a likable guy. He's clearly a political figure. He's clearly got an aura because he's at FIFA now and he's making his way up. Smart, articulate guy. You've heard him speak before. If you're Portuguese, he's great. As far as I'm concerned, he just had a good career and a good pro. But Luis Figo, he is beloved in Portugal. Maybe somebody can explain to me what it was about him that people loved so much. He didn't have so much pace, and I don't know. I never saw the vision. I don't know. I don't know. At number 2, legend of 3 clubs. He's Chelsea's greatest defender of all time. By a long way. He's the best I've ever seen. The most complete defender Chelsea have had in the modern age. He's Portugal's best defender of all time. He was part of that great Porto team. At number 2, Ricardo Requi Carvalho. Superb hair as well. Superb hair. The complete defender. And an absolute monster coming out from the back. At number 1, I don't think it's... everyone knows who it is. But he's the most professional player of all time. Everything about him screams professional. This is how to take all of your ability and ensure that you leave nothing to chance. You leave nothing to chance. I said yesterday, this is a role model. Leo Messi is not a role model. Nobody can be Leo Messi again. Nobody can be Messi. Ronaldo is a role model. All work, all attention to detail, good decisions, seeking mentorship. He learned at Manchester United how to be the guy. He chose his agent cleverly. He made his business moves brilliantly. He's the most professional player football has ever had. He's the best player at Manchester United. He's the best player Man United have ever had. He's the best player Real Madrid have ever had. I don't know how many people can say that in any business in the world. I don't know if anybody goes from HSBC and goes to Merrill Lynch and is the best employee they've ever had. Because those are two top 5 sporting institutions in the history of mankind. And he's the best to ever do it at both. That is sensational. That is sensational. You don't believe me, folks? They still sing it at the Stretford end. Listen, they say he's running down the wing. Hear United sing. Viva Ronaldo. At number 1, the greatest Portuguese player to ever do his thing. Certainly the greatest Portuguese player to ever do it in the Premier League. Certainly the greatest player Man United have ever had. Certainly the greatest player Portugal have ever had. The greatest Real Madrid have ever had. Cristiano Ronaldo. Some player, some figure. And what a story. What a story. The 5 greatest Portuguese players of all time. Number 5, Deco. Number 4, Manuel Rui Costa. Number 3, Luis Figo. Number 2, Ricky Carvalho. And at number 1, the one, the only, Cristiano Ronaldo. Jimbo, you support Liverpool. It must have been a nightmare for 5 years to see him doing his thing. It must have just been terrible for you.
I was very young when he played for United. I don't think I was heavily into soccer when he played for United. So, I mean, obviously I knew who Cristiano Ronaldo was, but wasn't a... oh my gosh, it's... I don't know. I don't think I was heavily into the sport. But I can imagine definitely what teams do go through or would have gone through.
Yeah.
Facing a player like him, breaking records every second week. I do. I think in the Messi Ronaldo debate, I think he's number 1 in the world.
He's your guy, huh?
He is. I love him. I think he's incredible.
I agree. He is incredible, dude.
I think he's a machine, dude.
You know why I think people prefer Ronaldo over Messi?
Flashy.
No. I think he's relatable. Because anyone can work hard. Like, if you put your mind to it, you know you can work hard. Most people in the world are poor. Like, I know it's a hard thing to hear, but most people in the world are poor. That's a very real thing. This idea that everybody lives like you and me is not true. And I'm talking about globally. Most people in the world are poor. He comes from a poor background. Like, people can relate to that, right? Ronaldo he has clear limitations, right? Like, his technique's not outstanding. Like, he can't play in the middle. He doesn't have a clean touch, really. But when you see the things he's done, and we watched him from 18 at Sporting, and we watched him develop at Man United, it's like, oh, okay, he's putting the work in. Like, it feels like anybody could do that. Like, Leo Messi feels unrealistic. Because Ronaldo can't run past 8 people and chip the keeper. Leo Messi feels like he's playing in a TV game, and he's in control of every character. You know what I mean? Like, Ronaldo feels relatable, dude. Like, if I gym for 10 years, I could be that. I just think that's what it is. And, dude, I think he's such an exceptional example for people in life. Because it's so possible in your own sphere to just decide, today, like, I am going to be so focused. If you're not helping me, I'd imagine he was, like, cutting people. In fact, with somebody like him, I don't think he has to cut people out of his life. He's just so serious that if you're not a serious person, it's intimidating for you to hang around people that are serious.
Yes.
Like people don't, they just fall off, right? It's like when people see you doing the things you want to do in your life and you start to achieve, people just fall off because it makes them feel small. It makes people feel small when you start to achieve your goals and you're disciplined and you grow up. It's like when a girlfriend breaks up with, I can only speak as a guy, when a girlfriend breaks up with a guy and his guy friends will always say, oh, dude, you're whipped. No, the girl's a grown up. She's not going to tolerate that, and then she leaves you. Like, serious people don't muck about. So I'd imagine Ronaldo's had an incredible life where he may have had people that were just hanging on. Sorry, get the hell out of here. It feels possible to do what Ronaldo did in your own life. It feels impossible to be Leo Messi.
I also think people have kind of seen through the facade that is Leo Messi's Barcelona. And I think that's also kind of turned some people off of choosing Messi over Ronaldo. I think a lot of people, especially when players like Iniesta and Xavi sort of started to move on, and a lot of the sort of Barcelona legends started to move on. I think people saw that Messi did struggle a bit, and that's when people clicked and they were like, oh, this whole Barcelona thing is built around this one player. Is he actually really the greatest? And then that was added, the World Cups and the international tournaments he went on, where he essentially did nothing. I think that piled onto that, and I don't know. I think there's a whole facade built around Messi.
Yeah.
I think he's a great player with the way that he keeps the ball so close to his feet, and he can go in and out of defenders and nutmeg players and stuff like that really quickly. But I just think a lot of it's built up. I mean, yeah, sure, there's a reason he's won 5 or 6 Ballon d'Ors. I mean, that's enough already. But I don't know.
You're just a Ronaldo guy, huh?
Yeah, there's a whole thing around Messi. It's all built up for him, in my opinion. Maybe because I'm a Real Madrid fan. But
Hey, it is what it is, dude. You've spilt your heart. Leo Messi's a bum is what you're saying, huh?
no.
All right. Hey, listen, Cristiano Ronaldo, as I get older, dude, I just love greatness. They're both great. I'm on the other side of the conversation with you, but Ronaldo feels relatable. Like, if you're a 10-year-old, train hard for 10 years. Because everyone can get in shape. There's not one person in the world, if you take it seriously. I don't mean like people that want to go on Instagram and say they're training. I mean, if you take something seriously, everyone can train harder. Everyone can get better at their job. Everyone can seek mentorship. Like, these are possible things.
Yeah.
Like, being Leo Messi is not possible. You can't run 10 past 10 people, and he's still doing it now. Some of the goals he scored this season are out of this world.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I see what he can do with a football and what he can do to players.
Yeah. You're all Ronaldo, huh?
I don't buy into it for some reason.
Fair enough, Jimbo. Stick to your guns, dude. Stick to your guns.
I don't have many.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Soft ass northern suburban guy, but a good guy, a good man, a very good man, James Illingsley.
Look, I try to be a good guy.
Yeah. Hey, no one's perfect.
I try to get the stream working, and I keep bringing it up because I'm becoming very frustrated.
Don't worry about it. We got technical difficulties. It happens. No one's perfect. We were just saying it to everybody at home. If you're experiencing technical difficulties, we are working on it. Our technicians are currently working on it, but we'll get it right.
The stream is not your Wi-Fi is not the issue.
Yeah.
To people listening, your Wi-Fi is not the issue.
Cool. We've addressed it. Let's move on. So in about 20 minutes, looking forward to having Meneer Jordan on. But before that, James.
That is my name.
Okay, tell you what, before we get into that, the podcast is available, by the way, on the Cliff Central app, cliffcentral.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. It might be Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Apple Podcasts is still having some issues, by the way. That's not on our end. I want human beings to know that. Apple Podcast, I don't know what's going on there.
Steve, get your shit together.
From the grave. Save us from the grave, Steve.
Steve, come back and help us.
It's a guy now, Tim Cook.
Tim Cook.
Yeah, you look a bit like Tim Cook. I imagine if you aged, you got the douchebag glasses already.
Multi-trillionaire Tim Cook.
Tim Cook, yeah, he's doing all right. All right, yeah, so that's the podcast. If you're on YouTube with us, please click like. Otherwise, James, let's get into social media with James.
James. So I found a graphic this morning after watching the game last night, and it should pop up on your side relatively soon. But last night was one of the greatest Liverpool games I've watched this season.
So you got to tell people, because some people listen on a podcast. Last night doesn't give any context. Who played? What are you talking about?
Liverpool, Manchester United at Old Trafford last night. One of the best Liverpool games I've watched this season. One of the best performances. Trent was in there again.
Mm-hmm.
Salah looked like he was, fighting for a Ballon d'Or at the end of this year. Good Lord. Mane came on. Wasn't very happy about that one. But this image that I have put up
Brought a tear to your eye.
Dude, look how much it means to him, man. Like, he scored against Man United last year. That was the celebration where he took off his shirt.
Yeah.
And he flexed like a mad beast.
Yeah. And he's got those mad vibe, six-pack vibes.
Yeah.
Like tennis balls.
He's got like 28 packs,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
But just the celebration that I watched last night, he like did the running thing and he was like, yay, we scored. And then he started like shouting
Yeah.
and then he just kind of like went down. And this was the position he was in. He'd like kind of fell over and just did this. And I was like, scoring against Manchester United means so much to Mo Salah.
I think it's also, we're back in the Champions League race. Now all Liverpool need to do is basically win every game. They're in the Champions League.
We need to win every game. Chelsea-Leicester tomorrow night is also... See, that's also
That's FA Cup, though. You got to wait till a week, huh?
Oh, so wait, this weekend's FA Cup.
FA Cup final. I don't understand. I don't expect you to know about finals. You're a terrible team. But the FA Cup final this weekend. Our first final in 2.5 weeks. And then Wednesday. That's actually...
Yes, so that game, Leicester-Chelsea, they are third and fourth respectively. I think a draw.
No, listen. If Liverpool win every game, they're in the Champions League. Because Chelsea and Leicester are playing against each other.
And you can't both win.
You can't both win. And so Liverpool get to 70 points. They're in the Champions League. So
The
simple
boys.
as that. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Oh, you got to see. Can they beat who they got? Crystal Palace.
Who, Liverpool?
Mm-hmm. They got Palace. They got West Brom. I think West Brom's the next game.
They've got a
got
relatively
Palace.
easy run in.
Yeah, well, let's see. That's what we thought. And they lost 6 at home. I think Sheffield United was one of those at home that they lost. So let's see. Pressure's on. Can Phillips and who's the other kid? Williams. They did well at the back. Hey, give it to Liverpool. They looked really good last night.
Great finish from Williams last night, huh?
Superb finish on that first one. What is he doing? What a clumsy... What a klutz.
So if you guys didn't see it,
Yeah. No, very
scores
cool.
a belter, top corner.
Yeah, terrible.
Only issue was it was his own goal.
Yeah.
So
Okay. No, but Mo Salah. Good stuff.
Yeah, Mo
Good for him.
Salah. He is now, I think, tie with Harry Kane on goals in the race for the Golden Boot. So that's also great stuff. Last night was a ton of mixed emotions. We all spoke. Me, and Paula spoke on the group chat before the game and in the build-up, and there was a point last night, I think it was even like 5 hours before the game, where I was going through Twitter and I saw that Old Trafford was twending. Old Trafford was twending on
Twitter. I got you, James.
trending on Twitter.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, here we go again. So I clicked on the Old Trafford trending thing. Fans are rioting once more. And I sent this image on the group last night, but one of the fans put a banner outside the stadium that said Avi. Is it Avi Glazer?
Mm-hmm.
Avi Glazer went to Epstein Island, which I thought was
Hectic.
oof.
That's hectic. Yeah. Hey, listen. Don't mess with people's club. I know 2 people in my life. A real thing. They left their wives because they love their football club so much, and it was just they're obsessed. Football is unlike anything on this planet. There's a famous story, whether myth or real. A guy named his house Lanasa, and it wasn't until his wife saw it in the mirror years later that she realized he'd named the house Arsenal. Real thing, I'm telling you.
I thought that was a story about a baby, wasn't it?
I think it's mythology, which is why I said it's whether true.
Yeah.
Because I've heard the multiple versions.
Yeah.
But I believe it. Like, because I know people that love football. And
Not even surprised.
listen,
huh?
I do love my family, but they are at best equal to football. I do love football, but there are people that live, and I'm just talking, having experienced the UK and having experienced Argentina. I've never been to Brazil, but I know there are people that love football more than anything on this planet. Now, I am one of those people, but they are another level. So, yeah, hey, they feel like the Glazers are messing with their beloved, you know? If you got home and somebody was making out with your wife, how would you feel?
I think I genuinely don't think Man United fans are going to stop until the Glazers step down.
That's tough. Listen, you know what worried me yesterday was once you bring the right police out, you're sending a message of there's nothing you can do about it. Listen, do this 5 more times. Let's see how this ends.
They apparently broke down that wall that they had built around the
steel wall, yeah?
gantry gate thingies.
Yeah.
They apparently at one point had broken it down, and I was like, oh, here goes again. We're going to get postponed again. And it's like we were saying on the group last night. You can't deduct points as a means of dealing with the situation because that's unfair on the players. So I feel like Manchester United as a club, as a company, as a brand should be fined ridiculously, so much so that the Glazers are like, we don't want to fork out that kind of money. We're going back to Miami. Thanks for having us.
They've got all the money in the world. You can find them however much you want. Find them 150 million. It's pocket change. I remember a very famous interview with this. At the time, he was either the founder or CEO of Ster-Kinekor. And they said, how do you feel about this massive fine? I think it was a tax thing. And he was quite a brash guy. And in the interview, he said, no worries. I've made that money back as I'm talking to you now in interest.
Lol.
Yeah, no, that's next. There's next level money out there, dude.
Lol.
Yeah, worrying situation. Anyway,
Very.
not as worrying as how terrible Man United are, but that's a whole different thing.
Also, news coming out of the United Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Rangers boss Steven Gerrard has been named Scottish.
Yeah,
What is happening?
Yeah, you're having a day today. In your defense, you're an Afrikaans guy.
Scottish
Yes.
Premier Football League Manager of the Year.
Oh, shout out Stevie G, dude.
Good old Stevie G.
Yeah,
huh?
legend.
You see, Sir Alex also backs him. He came out the other day and...
Oh, you must remember Sir Alex, Rangers player, former Rangers player.
Correct.
Huge, by the way, Sir Alex, massive figure in the Scottish Protestant community. You must remember he's a Rangers and Protestant through and through. He is a massive proponent of the political party, I think, whatever the socialist party is there, like the working class guys. I forget who they are. He's the son of, he worked on the docks. Remember, he had his own pub, Fergie. So he is a god, and Rangers is everything to Fergie from everything I've read. More so than even United, from what I read in his books. So, I mean, for Stevie G to be doing well. Ironic, huh?
I was about to say...
Spent all these years beating him down into the ground.
Of all players doing well for Rangers, it's a Scouse captain.
It's like the prodigal son, you know? So it's like Stevie was actually just out to pasture for a bit, spending all his money on whatever he was spending it on. But he's come home now, kind of Fergie, and Fergie, the Lord, is overlooking. That's an awesome story, dude.
Good stuff.
And you know, football's great. Again, very few places are you going to have in real life, right, where you've got an arch enemy for 15 years becomes your beloved, right? Because Fergie loves, right? I wonder who loves Fergie more, Rangers fans or United fans?
United fans, for sure.
I don't know. James, you got to go. Listen, you got to go to Rangers, and you got to remember, Fergie in United, he's not Scottish. I mean, he's not English. Like, I know it's difficult for us in England because we only get the English lens of Fergie and the United lens. But you must remember what he means to the working class, to the people of Scotland, beyond football. What he means to the Protestant community, right? Because they've been overshadowed largely by the Catholic community. Fergie means so much more than football to an entire part of Scotland. Like in Glasgow, he's Lord. In Man United, he's just a football manager. So I don't know. It would be an interesting one. I'd love to hear. If anybody's in Scotland and you are a Glaswegian, I'd love to hear from you.
Glaswegian.
No, very nice, very nice. Stevie G, shout out.
Good old Stevie.
Yeah. And listen, it's tough to be good at two things. He was a worldie footballer, all-timer, and then he's also a worldie manager. It's
Correct.
It's tough in life to be good, world-class at two things, and he's working his way to becoming world-class. That speaks to his character, dude. Steven Gerrard could have gone and got the Liverpool job before Jurgen Klopp if he really wanted to. But shout out to him and Gerrard because and Lampard is, listen, man, management's hard. It's Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher. They've taken the easy route out. Ian Wright, all these guys, me. What we do is easy, dude. Being a football manager, are you kidding me? Football players are spoiled brats, all of them. All of them. Now you got 25 of them to look after, and they make more money than you. Shout out Stevie G, dude.
Good old Stevie.
Yeah,
huh?
big respect. Big respect.
Outside of the world of football, we have a confirmation on a fight. Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. It's been finalized for the 14th of August. Super exciting stuff. It will be in Saudi Arabia, and it will be in a specially created stadium. Not sure what that means.
They did that last time for Andy Ruiz. You remember a couple of weeks ago I said I was betting on Saudi Arabia because it's the only place that can afford it. It's going to be the first $100 million purse plus fight in the history of boxing. It'll be the biggest fight in the history of boxing in terms of the commercial side. I don't even want to know what Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn is now the king of sports promotion. Nobody is near him. Last week, Canelo Alvarez, Billy Joe Saunders, they broke the American record for boxing fans watching a single fight. He went to Dallas, which is not your regular place to go for fighting. He went somewhere called Jerry World, the great Jerry Jones. Eddie Hearn is doing all of the things right now. Listen, I was right. I'll talk about this on Monday, but I said Saudi Arabia is the only place on earth that can afford to host this fight, and it's awesome. Good for them.
Nailed it.
Yeah, awesome.
That was social media with
James. Any comments, James, from our listeners? And
We do.
We'll move on to an intermission.
From the listeners that have stuck through the technical difficulties that are still happening. I'm going to fix it during the intermission, I promise. Will the Packers trade Aaron Rodgers from Kutle? Wait, before you go on, Zapata replied to that and said they would be foolish to do that, but the man isn't happy.
Listen, there's one thing I don't like needy people. Aaron Rodgers has had his chance now to win at the Green Bay Packers. People keep telling me when he leaves, things are going to be worse. But you've seen what he is. You've seen him now 2 years in a row fall short, right, in the NFC Championship game. It's done now. Like, you've seen the best of Aaron Rodgers, right? And please, he's got Aaron Jones and he's got Devontae Adams. He's got weapons. So stop telling me about that. There's something very off-putting, and he's the opposite of Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't like needy people. And Aaron Rodgers is needy. The Green Bay Packers don't need him. It's been 10 years since they won a Super Bowl. They can move on from Aaron and not win without him, but build for the future. He's brilliant, but I'm sorry. The only person who's worth the rigmarole that Aaron Rodgers is putting people through right now, putting the original, literally the trophy is named the Lombardi Trophy after their great coach, the Blue Blood franchise. Let him go, dude. Like, there's only, in every relationship, you should have a limit for how much you're willing to put up with. The Packers, everyone said after Favre they wouldn't be able to move on. Well, they found Rodgers. Everyone thinks after Rodgers it'll be the end. It'll not. They will find somebody. It is a blue blood franchise. Aaron Rodgers has not won in 10 years. Stop putting up with him. Just move on. I do not understand this obsession with Aaron Rodgers. Do you know what he is? He's a cult figure. He's really like the Paul Pogba of the NFL. He's not Tom Brady. He is not John Elway, and he'll never be Peyton Manning because he's too needy. He's not a real alpha. Alphas are not needy. And what he is needy. Him and Russell Wilson, and Wilson showed it this season. That's why they'll never be Brady. Tom Brady says, whatever I've got, Bill Belichick, I trust you. We are both at our apex. And now we've seen Rodgers at his apex, and he's had plenty of talent and one of the most stable organizations in the world, and he still can't do it. Like, at some stage, by the way, if you watch the NFC game last season against Tom Brady, he missed 2 throws. There's the one on the crossing route for Alan Lazard. He throws high and right, and then there's another one. Aaron, run for the corner. Like, Brady runs for the corner there because he breaks through the coverage. The protection's great. The pocket breaks. He's through. And I think it's Levante David and him. Dude, it's a massive defensive end and a linebacker. Take him on. You got about 15 meters to go to the corner. You race him to the corner and you dive. It's to go to the Super Bowl. He froze in that moment. And it's not the first time. Sorry, it's been 10 years. Move on from Aaron Rodgers. And he's so needy. I don't like CEOs that are needy because that's what you are as the quarterback. You're the CEO. Move on. Aaron Rodgers, hugely, again, like a Maradona figure, right? More myth than production, really. And I like Maradona, but more myth than production. Aaron Rodgers won Super Bowl. Sorry, he's not Elway. He's not Manning. And don't even mention him in the same breath as Brady. But people love him. And it's a pop culture world. He's a pop culture figure. So shout out to the Green Bay Packers. Listen, I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. I got Kirk Cousins to deal with. It is going to be another revolting season. It is a waste of Dalvin Cook's talent. You know what the Vikings are, before we move on? It's exactly what Atlanta did to Julio Jones, and Julio needs to get out of there, is that they gave Matt Ryan and wasted his entire career. And they've just got an all-timer. I think it's the first tight end to be traded ever, or picked in the top 5 in the draft. Kyle Pitts, look out for him if you're into the NFL. He's going to be all-time. I mean, hey, the NFL's in a good place with tight ends. Kyle Pitts, he will be a hybrid wide receiver tight end. That is an awesome guy to look out for. But Matt Ryan is expensive, and that's going to be a waste of 2 years of Kyle Pitts. I'm sorry. But yeah, Dalvin Cook is doing the same thing with Kirk Cousins. At my beloved Minnesota Vikings, move on from Aaron freaking Rodgers. What else we got, Jimbo?
Zapeta says leadership at the back is very important, and it shows that Maguire's missed. He organizes the defense, brings a sense of calm. What is happening today? And most importantly, the leadership. I think Man United did lack a lot of many things yesterday.
Yeah.
But I think Zapeta's got it spot on. I think there was nobody controlling much. There wasn't anybody sort of restructuring the plays if Wan-Bissaka was 4 kilometers up the field. And I think that's what Man United really missed against a Liverpool side that really wanted to go out there last night and do the business and walk away with 3 points.
I don't want to hear it. You've got 2 £30 million centre-backs, and Liverpool had children. Literally, I think Jurgen Klopp had to change the centre-back combinations' diapers at half-time. They're so young.
Probably.
I don't want to hear it from United fans. That is the last thing I want to hear. If that is the excuse for last night, I am sorry. You had who? Nat Phillips?
Nat Phillips.
And who's the other kid? Williams.
Nico Williams.
Come on, man. So what? Eric Bailly and Lindelof can't hold it together for one game, and they got overshadowed by Liverpool's backline yesterday. Like, those two embarrassed. By the way, both cost over £30 million. I just want to be very clear. The other two have just figured out, have just heard about something called calculus. They're so young. They literally probably just got Nico Williams' training wheels just got taken off his tricycle last night. Literally, by his mommy.
I also heard that Nat Phillips only just learned how to tie his football boots.
So, don't give me that. The United thing, I don't want to hear excuses last night. You had Paul Pogba, who you all tell me is the most talented midfield in the world. You had Bruno Fernandes. Everyone's telling me Luke Shaw's the new Bixente Lizarazu. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is Cafu. You've got Edwin van der Sar in Henderson. Marcus Rashford is apparently David Ginola, I've heard. So don't tell me this. I don't want to hear it. I've heard Greenwood is obviously Leo Messi. I've heard this. So I don't want to hear it from United fans. Last night, I'm sorry, you have no excuses. It was full team. Don't give me the Maguire thing. That's rubbish.
Zapeta, you've triggered him.
You were awful.
Triggered him.
You had Fred. You had all of them. And they were rested, right? They didn't play in the previous game to Leicester. They lost. I don't want to hear the Maguire thing. That's not an excuse. Did it make a difference? Maybe. But Liverpool have been without Gomez and Van Dijk. Sorry.
And we still put 4 past you.
It's embarrassing. That is... No. Nobody's saying that. I'm sorry. Zapeta, and that's a great Xhosa name, by the way. I'd imagine he's from somewhere in the Eastern Cape. It's a great name. Batuzankolela. Dangaba. No way. No way. I'm not letting Man United fans try that one. They're going to try and slip that in there. Oh, Maguire. You got £65 million on the pitch at centre back. No. No. Niche.
That's all the comments.
Yeah, listen.
Zapeta, you've triggered him, and now I have to deal with him in the break. Thanks.
That's good stuff. All right, we're going to hug it out. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up after the break, we are going to be speaking student athletes. We will welcome Northcliffe's first team rugby coach, Manier Jordan. He'll be with us after the break. My name is MKT. This is the MKT Show. We're going to hug it out. See you in a bit. The MKT Show. I'm MKT. This is Cliff Central Sport. Welcome back to it, sports fans. And a lot of people ask me, what's it like to have a show named after you? You know, how does that make you feel? I'll tell you right now, it's a Friday and it feels freaking great. I'll tell you right, it feels amazing. So for those of you that are probably couldn't sleep last night thinking, what's it like? I wonder what it's like to have a show named after him. Feels amazing. And it's great to be great. And it is the 14th of May.
It's also great to be humble, huh?
Yeah, too humble. Some people say it's a weakness of mine. People say, hey, you know what your biggest weakness is? You're too humble. And I go, please.
Sure.
I'm not that humble. See how I immediately stay humble?
I'm with you.
Hey, James, you got to live out your message, dude. That's what life's about. Live out your message.
You got to live your best life and live out your message.
Too humble. All right, let's speak about, James, we just big talkers, you know what I mean? That's what we do for a living.
Well,
we talk and we yap. But some people actually live out the message. We call them teachers, we call them educators, and it's a big thing for me. So before I introduce our guest, I want to talk you through kind of my school experience and how it's gone. And I touched on it a bit earlier. For me, education, and it's not my teacher's fault. It was always a second thing. And my mother probably doesn't want to hear this, because she worked her fingers to the bone, and my father, to actually give me a decent education. Some of you will be surprised by that. But in reality, for me, a big identity, a big part of my identity, a big part of why I think even later on in my life, as I had a messy 20s, but sport was a big thing for me. And it wasn't just about, and I was fortunate to be at boarding school, it wasn't just about playing. Actually, for me, I've always been honest with people, and it's why I actually started this show, was I've never actually cared about the game in any sense, because that's going to happen anyway, right? The awesome part, especially when you get to your potential in sport, the best part is, number one, the process, and number two, for me, I've always said the best part about being a sportsman is the locker room. And locker rooms include coaches, moms, dads, there's a preparation process, but the best part is being in a locker room. or a change room in South Africa, we call it. Because in there, for me, for talented sportsmen and women, it's actually the safest place in the world for you. It's the one place where critique doesn't matter. You're with people, and I want to respect people that have been to war, but it's very similar to say we've suffered together, only we get it. And it's why you'll often hear people say, oh, locker rooms. But it's because you don't get it unless you're in there and you're Monday morning running sessions and it's winter and you're all there and you're doing those push-ups and you're not cutting corners and you're all applying yourselves to a bigger mission. And it becomes a very, very different type of world. And it's formed so many identities, and it formed a safe place, certainly for me in school. We all go through stuff. And it's helped us so much in my family to become better members of community in my family. So that's what it is for me. As I've gotten older, I've appreciated what my teachers were trying to do with education, and just to educate the person and not just the sportsman. But sport for me, just so people understand, it's central to my life. It was then, and it continues to be now. But it doesn't just happen. And sometimes it takes time to see that, and you've got to get a little bit older. And we call it, I think some people call it wisdom. And you see, it's not just about you. And it's tough to tell an 18-year-old, a 15-year-old, it's not just about you, especially if they're talented. And it's tough to tell someone that, hey, listen, it's as important to kick a winning sort of conversion in the last minute against the arch rivals. It's as important to be a nice person. It's very tough. But there are people that develop characters and people like that. And do, it's the tough part. You've got to be patient. And let me bring in Meneer Jordan, first team coach at Northcliffe High School. Meneer Jordan, awesome to have you here. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, it's you know what? It's been such it's awesome to actually get you here. You turned it around really quickly, by the way. I know you're a busy guy, so for you to shift around your schedule, I really appreciate that. And so one of your sort of colleagues at work is a friend of mine. I've known him. I mean, we were in the same year at school, and he was a great sportsman, and I was not as good as him. But he's now one of your rugby coaches, and you work together, and that's how we got this together. But I spoke to him, and he said, "Yeah, no, definitely we should get you in." But we've been talking for a couple of years, and you're working at Northcliffe, and I can see you guys are trying to build something there. And I loved, we had a pre-call a couple of days ago, and I can see you guys are building something special there. Just talk me through, how long have you been at Northcliffe, and how long have you been sort of as an educator, and what is your background before we get into the nitty-gritties?
I think sport's been my background since I was a youngster, like you said in your thing, and it's part of who I am, and it's part of my DNA. And I think when I left school, the most important thing for me was that I needed to do something that I love. And instead of being the accountant or being the doctor, my whole goal was to just give back to sports and be a sportsman. I played rugby, I did all those sort of activities. But what I've learned in the years playing sport, like you're talking about camaraderie and building human beings, and I think that's been my calling in regard to trying to develop humans. I think that's what teaching's about, and that's what education is about. And along the way I played sport, I've had some hard knocks through injuries and all these sort of things, but it teaches you who you are today as a human being. And I think that's where schools, and especially as educators, we have a massive role in developing human beings. When you are kicked down, when you stand up, how you fight, and you do all those sort of things in life. And yes, I was fortunate. I studied fitness, and then I was at UJ or Rao at the time. And then I went through there, and then I was fortunate by a gentleman by Joseph Gerassi, who was headmaster at Red Hill High School, actually came to me and offered me a job at King David Victory Park, which is a private education. And I must say, you used to learn a school of hard knocks. That's a school where you learn how to handle people and how to deal with situations. So it taught me a lot of skills. And then I think it was 2013, Northcliffe came knocking. I mean, and funny enough, it came by the fact that our first rugby side at King David beat Northcliffe that day. And that's how the offer came. Now, remember, Northcliffe, King David is maybe 300 kids at a school, Victory Park, where Northcliffe is 1,500 kids. So the dynamic should never have happened, you know what I'm saying? And I was fortunate to have some good kids at that time. And we molded them, and we managed to beat them. And then my offer came at Northcliffe. And I must be honest with you, I was first taken back because I was at a private school, stable, safe environment.
Yeah.
And in my head, I thought, this is an opportunity. And I thought, you know what, this is a massive school. Northcliffe's always been good at stuff, but they've never been the best. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And then it was an opportunity in my mind. The type of human being I am is that I always like to David Goliath scenario. I always feel that if you sometimes, I always want the challenge to beat the bigger, or challenge someone that says that you can't do it. It's impossible to do it, because all these big schools have got the infrastructure, the stability. And then when I got to meet the senior exec at the school, I really felt that there's something special that can happen here. And so the plan has been over the last maybe 7 years. I started 2013 there, and we've grown as a school. We've always been good at athletics. We've always been good at swimming. But I suppose rugby and maybe those elitist sports or something where it's been a bit harder to achieve. But that's the model, and we all sat down and we worked this out, and we thought from a marketing, from a holistic point of view, the school can do this. And as a senior exec, we sat down, we knuckled down, and that was our plan. And I think we're only even halfway through our plan.
Good Lord.
Yeah, you know, you've just touched on, and some people, I mean, we have viewers across the world. Some people may not understand the dynamics in our country in terms of, and in South Africa, is that when we refer, so public schools in the UK, that's a whole different beast. That's Eton. That's here. Our public schools, which is, you went from private to a public. There's a whole different dynamic of, often our private schools are boys only, and like you said, so they've got the infrastructure, they've got the systems in place, and you went from an outstanding school. I mean, King David, it's a global legacy school. So you went from organized. Now you went to a whole different school, I'm sure, where even the economic factors, you know, now you're not dealing with upper middle class sort of situations where, hey, everyone's got problems. But now I'm sure what was that like for you to move into a whole different beast where you thought, before it was just about coaching, right? Relatively speaking.
Sure. And
now you had to go to this beast. How was that adjustment for you?
I must be honest. I mean, I sat with my wife when this offer came along, and she said to me, Darren, you're giving up stability potentially. And again, the type of person I am is, it's not about the stability, it's about where we can go and where we can push ourselves, you know. And the move to Northcliffe has made massive moves for me. I mean, I've always been a good rugby player. I played provincial rugby when I was younger. I did all those sort of things, but I also represented South Africa at SA Maccabi Rugby. So I played that sort of thing. But the point is, it gave me an opportunity to where the numbers were there, the opportunities were there, where you can mix it against schools that are the same sort of size. And your talent as a coach, as a mentor, because a rugby coach is not just someone who tells us this is what you got to do. You've got to grow them from the bottom. You've got to galvanize kids and make them believe that they can do anything for you. And no one tells me that you'll remember your maths lesson at school. You remember the time that you're out there with your friends and your partners, and that's where you grow human beings. And what I found at Northcliffe is that these kids just needed someone to guide them. And not to say the staff at Northcliffe are amazing, and I think that's why it's a collective effort that we've got there. But the point is they needed someone who could reach into them, drive them, and it's kids from all different communities. It's people with money, people that don't have money. And I think, again, it goes back to the point where people say this can't be done. And we found a way to do this. And my wife was saying to me, Dad, are you sure you want to do this? And I said, yes, this is what I want. Wow. And it was hard for me, King David, because I built a community around them as well. And it was very hard for me to move on. And I moved. And if I tell you now, I don't regret a second or a minute. I've been offered many jobs at many other places, but I feel security at Northcliffe, stability at Northcliffe. And the school and the community around itself is really driving hard for things that shouldn't be done. And that's the reality.
I find that incredible. You know, I went to sort of a public primary school, and then I was fortunate enough to go to a private institution. So I know the difference. And, you know, to get people like you, your level of intensity, and the fact that you've been there already now, it's year 8 now, is incredible. It's incredible because there's enough money to come. I'm sure you have had to turn down, you know. And it's interesting again that... and it's great that I love that you're communicating with your wife, because a lot of people don't see this side of a life. People just think a coach moves. Like, no, there's a whole family situation that's happening. Because I would imagine in your case, and I kind of want to get into the bigger picture of Northcliffe before you get into just sport, is, you know, now you have, let's say in the sporting institutions, 500 kids. Because your wife now, she's a part of your life. Sure. She now has 500 kids because you bring that home. You know, coaching isn't like being an accountant. 100%. So it's interesting to me that you made that move, and it's absolutely incredible. Talk to me about now you're here, you're at Northcliffe, and I know you guys have been doing some stuff. But when you got there, and I love what you started with, is you had to reach into the kids. What was some of the things you put in place that you thought maybe, because, so also I don't want to put you in this position. Let me be very clear. This is how I view it, is that when I went from a co-ed school, public school, to a boys' school, it's a different world. So in school, primary school, I was the man in terms of sport. Not great in the books, but anyway, I hope my mom doesn't, my mom would tell you, not great. But I was the man in primary school. And then I went, and everyone's a killer.
Sure.
You get there, and every coach is you. From under 14, every coach. Was that kind of a mentality you feel you've kind of brought in? What are some of the things you kind of focused on when you came across, and some of the things which the executive kind of tapped into you with, you think?
Look, the most important thing is people. So if you can galvanize people to work for a common goal, then you can achieve anything. I remember the first meeting I ever had with the rugby coaches when I walked into Northcliffe, and there's been statesmen there. So there's a guy like Colin Barrington who's been coaching the first side for almost 10, 15 years. There's a guy, Mr. Tennis Diedrichs, who's chairman of the Lions Rugby Union, who runs the rugby as well.
Wow.
So there's a lot of influential people within the system. So a lot of guys were working to the good, but they just couldn't get it right. So what happened was I walked into our first rugby meeting, and I sat all the coaches down, and I said, okay, guys, give me your plan. What's your plan? And no one came up with a plan because everyone was doing their own sort of thing. And then I said, okay, guys, well, if that's the case, let's do it this way. And I was fortunate. I remember I went down with one session with the first rugby side of that first year, and I took all the coaches down, and I said, guys, this is what I want to implement, because it's all very well you put it on paper. Some people can't understand that. So you actually need to practically sometimes break it down for them so they can see what you want to do. So we had to work at that sort of level. And I was fortunate. There's good people at Northcliffe again. They could have been egotistical and said, no, we don't want to listen to you. But I was fortunate enough that at the end of the day, the people bought in. And that's where it started. And then it rippled off into all the other activities that is running there. I mean, there's good statesmen there in regard to people handle their jobs, they do their stuff. So when I came in, it was always about just galvanizing a unit, making us work together to get a common goal. And then it just flew, and it just took off. And that's the reality.
And if I'm a parent now, so the kid next to you went to some mediocre school called St. Stidians, right? And I mean, those type of schools, they kind of sell themselves now.
Sure.
But if I'm a parent sitting at home right now, and let's be honest, by the way, I nearly fainted like a couple of years ago, and I see it every year. And I question my parents every single day. I don't know what they did for a living to be able to afford school and have food in my fridge. And I've always had shoes.
Sure.
I've always had stuff.
Sure.
Like, I do not know what these miracle workers called parents actually, like, how do they wake up with the amount of stress? And I have a sister.
Sure.
So it's two of us. I have no clue how they did what they did in order to pay for 12 years of me to go and muck about and get chucked out of maths class. But if I'm a parent, I'm sitting at home now, and St. Stidian sells itself, and these other bougie schools sell themselves, and they're great institutions. South Africa is very, very lucky. We have great institutions. But if I'm a parent now, I'd love to hear from somebody like you. And I love what you said. You've spoken about the people and the leadership and sort of the approach. And maybe Northcliffe is on my radar. Maybe, it's no longer just St. Stidians, because the way you're talking now, there's a plan. And this is what these schools have. It's all about having a plan. And I love what you're saying. What can people look forward to? Because what I love what you said is people, when we talk about Northcliffe now, where are you guys headed? I mean, I would imagine you don't just care about rugby players. I can tell you care about people, and the fact that they're rugby players, cool. That's a nice bonus. But I'm a parent. I'm more, I'm scouting my 13-year-old, and not just the talented sports ones. There's drama. There's all sorts of things going on at Northcliffe. What's the plan, and what can parents expect at Northcliffe that you think might be for them? Well,
I think the plan has been quite incremental. So we'll talk, and we need to break it up, because it's not just one whole thing. So let's talk rugby, because I'm a rugby oak, and that's what it is. I mean, rugby in the beginning, we had to work from having 2 teams per age group basically to 3-4 teams per age group. So it's getting your numbers up, and that brings different sort of communities. Because let's be honest, in the times past, students of color didn't really want to play rugby, or they didn't want to get involved because whatever the reasons were at the end of the day. And you've had to change that whole culture now that you've doubled your numbers, because now there's students of color, all different races, playing rugby in our school, and it's made such a big difference to the whole community inside the school. So you're touching on so much more than just rugby, to be quite honest with you.
What was your, sorry, I want to touch on that. That's an incredible thing to say, because it's difficult to explain to people, but I grew up, so I matriculated in 2004.
Sure.
The first time I had a black person in my team was grade 10,
Sure.
right? And so I'd always been the only black person in primary school, 18, whatever, until I was 16 years old. So it was a big thing for me.
Sure.
Like, oh, you know, and now we're here, and this was like a decent rugby team. And so that must be deliberate. I can't imagine great things don't happen on purpose.
See, I think, you know what happens? I think you got to find a way to reach into different communities to get them that make them tick. You know what? You can't just be that hard, fast person. You know, you get, and please, I don't want to ever talk ill of anyone at the end of the day. Some teachers are so dictatorship that sometimes it chases people away, because you've got different communities that they come from and how to handle people differently.
Sure.
So as a human being, I mean, I'll be honest with you, a teacher in the modern day era should get paid double the amount of what they should be getting paid.
Well said.
Because at the end of the day, what you're influencing in a human being is massive. And I like to think, and look, I'm very passionate about human beings, and I'm very passionate about Northcliffe. But if you look at individuals and you reach into individuals and you pull them out, you can make miracles with people. And that's why sometimes it goes further than just school, community. And let's tap into it a bit. We need to. I mean, COVID is hurting us. It really is.
Sure.
And what sometimes people high up don't realize, that when kids are taking part in sport, you're giving them opportunities that they live for. I mean, I've seen kids in the last few weeks and months. I've never seen kids participate like I have now. And it's different communities coming out. It's like it's their last chance.
Sure.
But the reality is you've really got to reach into these kids and make them community. I mean, I'll be honest, I had first team practice yesterday, and there's a boy called Tebe, and he's in the second side. He plays flank, and I was working with the second side, and I was struggling with them because they weren't connecting. They weren't really, and the first team was really getting on top, because we at Northcliffe, we work in first and seconds together as a coaching group, because it's about the community, it's about that whole process. And I was struggling with the boys, and I sat the boys down and I said, boys, what do I have to do to get you connect? And Tebe popped up and he said to me, you know what? It's not you, sir. It's us. We've got to galvanize. And it's a little boy that, I'll be honest with you would never expect it from. It blew me away. And again, that little moment just took that whole second side and put them together, and they started working better together. So again, it's back to my point. You need to find ways to reach into people to make them to participate and make them get involved. I mean, I called the whole rugby team, the whole school out today, saying how proud I am of what you guys have achieved, or how proud I am how you're coming down our attendance. I mean, some schools are struggling to put A and B teams out, and we're pushing 3 sides per age group. And this is a government co-ed school again. And it's about the culture that we've created and all those sort of activities. And then the rest of it, I must be honest with you, our plan with rugby is we want to go as high as we possibly can. That's the goal. I mean, no one expected us to be playing boys' schools now, and we are. You know what I'm saying? Last weekend we played St. Benedict's, and I'll be straight up with you. We won every A-team game on Saturday.
That is outrageous.
Exactly.
Listen, St. Benedict's, if you went and looked it up now, is one of the top 50 schools on planet Earth. Big money, big history, great leadership. They've had 3 great headmasters in a row. It is an institution. That is not a muckabout place.
Not at all. Not at all. And you know what? I'll tell you straight, we lost 1 game and we drew 1 game in our whole age group thing.
Good Lord.
And that just shows you how much emphasis, good coaching, good human beings can change anything.
So if I'm a parent, I mean, let's also be real. Like you're saying, our reality in South Africa isn't just millionaires. So there are parents who economically Northcliffe may work for them.
Sure.
And often, you know, I hear, like, I want to be honest, most of my family's poor, right? Is that people have to make these decisions of some people can't afford to send their kids to the level. So for you to be offering this level of, I mean, this is excellence. Culture doesn't happen on its own. I don't know if you agree or disagree. There is a deliberate, conscious effort, because 7 years ago, there was no way Northcliffe was even on St. Benedict's radar. Forget about it.
100%.
Northcliffe who? Yeah, athletics maybe. Because, listen.
Yeah, we're an athletic school. I mean, we've won the A-League, 23 years in a row. So, like, that's another. You see, but again, it's tapping into the resources. I mean, we've always had the athletes, but now teach the athletes how to play rugby.
Got you.
teach the athletes how to do other things. Hockey, I mean, let's be honest, all our sport is really doing well. I mean, netball, we run close to 7 teams per age group. I mean, it's massive. And when it goes to hockey, you're running boys and girls, 2 teams per age group. And sometimes people forget that a boys' school runs hockey and rugby. When we run, we're running girls and boys hockey, netball and rugby, and still throw cross country in. And our whole ethos at the school is that the kids have to participate. And it's not a dictatorship like at a boys' school where they'll say to you, you will participate. It's more get involved, be involved. And that's the difference, I think. You know what I mean? It's created such a different vibe, I think. And yeah, I must say it's amazing sometimes to watch.
It's actually funny you say that, because so going to Saints, you know, it's one of those schools where it's exactly like that, where you have to do a summer sport, you have to do a winter sport. And I was a weird drama kid, so by matric, I had managed to wangle like a...
Still weird, by the way. He's still weird.
Correct. I managed to wangle a drama exemption, so I didn't have to do sports.
Sure.
But like between grade 8 and matric, it was a thing of like you have to choose a sport.
Sure.
And I think it's that mindset of you don't want to. Like you want to be able to choose whether you want to play cricket or if you want to do fencing outside of the school, and that has nothing to do with the school. So I think that's also very, very important for children to have that choice. And I feel like if they have the choice and they choose to, no, I want to play under 14 rugby, they enjoy it a lot more. And it's a lot nicer to sort of get out of the classroom and play that sport.
Look, I must be honest. I mean, it's very important. I always tell people that you'll never be a straight A student if you just go straight home every day. Because, I mean, what are you doing when you're just going straight home every day? I mean, it's vitally that you connect in the right way, that people must participate, must get involved in the school. Because at the end of the day, and I'm very much about the social well-being of children. And it's all about when you get into the school, you got to find a place. Because I tell you what breaks me is when I see kids that don't have community or friends or something of that sort, that just, it eats me inside. You know what I'm saying? And let's be honest, there's people like that. So, you know, like we've got what they call Mind Sports. Mind Sports is a computer gaming community. So as long as you're participating in it, and I'm sure most schools have got these sort of things, but it's about stressing again, just get involved, find who you are, find that person who's your friend, find that, and then you find a place. Because I think the worst thing for me is, and I think as an educator, I see sometimes in my past, I've seen kids just float past the school and they get out, and then are they successful when they get out of school? I mean, the most important thing is my job is to make every human being successful in life. Because if you can't achieve inside of school, how are you going to fit in when you get out of school? And that's what sometimes, and look, let's go back to rugby. I'm a rugby man. The point, sometimes rugby will take you to places where it's a dark spot. And sometimes you struggle to get out of there, and it's not easy. And you've got to face your fears. And no rugby player can tell me that they weren't scared to take the field at some sort of stage of their time. But sometimes you've got to face it. And that's where it'll help you in life. When the chips are down and you've got to stand up and you've got to fight and all those sort of things. That's what sport does for people. That's what sport is about.
Man. Dude, if I had kids, so I'd have to trick a lady to first marry me.
Which I do believe will be near impossible.
Yeah, it's going to be tough going.
He is a tough person.
It's going to be tough going. As you heard earlier, I'm too humble. But when I meet somebody like you, because again, and to James's point, right, is in my day, I have to be honest, drama kids, get the hell out of my face. Who? What are you talking about?
It's a place for everyone, eh?
And I love that. We're in a new time, and it's about people, like you're saying. So for me, if I'm honestly, and I'm not just saying it because you're here, I can feel your energy. Like you can feel when people aren't real about it. I'm old now. I'm getting into my mid-30s. We've been enough around BS, especially, you know how parents are. You can tell us. I'm not a parent. James is not a parent. But when you start to play with kids, it's a whole different world now. If I had you in front of me, I'm telling you, like it is. If you stay at Northcliffe for another 10 years, this landscape's not going to look the same anymore. And it's so interesting to me that like a guy like you could be anywhere. It is amazing to me that you've chosen. And listen, we live in South Africa. It gives me great hope to have guys like you choosing Northcliffe over School X in the Midlands. I'm sure you've had offers, and it's incredible, man. And I just want to talk about a word that's really important to me. And I'll tell you why I was saying what I was saying. Is you said a word, culture. You know, people say this word all the time. We say it all the time. Yeah, it's good culture. That doesn't just happen. And you spoke earlier about the sort of the people that are involved with you at Northcliffe. I'd like to talk a little bit about just the school before we get into the rugby, because I'm a rugby guy and I am berserk about rugby. Again, I'm a parent. And this is a real thing, right? I'm now saying, St. Benedict's, we got Northcliffe around the corner. Maybe I don't send my kids to boarding school. I can actually spend time with them. Now Northcliffe's becoming an option. Talk to me about the executive team at large and what else have we got on offer? And for you, also you work there. Like, what do you love about working there? Because if you love it, as a parent, I'd go, oh, well, listen, this guy's unbelievable. I want to send my kids there.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I have to be safe in where I am as an environment. So I think at the end of the day, as a rugby coach, you know that you're on borrowed time always.
Oh, yeah.
A rugby coach, if you're not performing, what happens?
Oh, yeah.
Say what you like. It's what it is. And look, I'm fortunate as well. I also coach with an online school system. So I'm privileged to get to those opportunities. So it does kind of give you opportunities, but you still got to have stability. And stability is where the senior exec has given me that stability. They give our teachers that stability. And, you know, they're statesmen of the school. So I'll be honest with you, they each handle their own sort of portfolios. And they are professionals at what they do. I think they also forward-thinking in how, I mean, you need to be forward-thinking in the type of environment we are, especially against what we're against. You know, especially money, infrastructure, all the different other school opportunities, old boys societies.
Yes.
We don't have an old boys society. So for us, it's about paying fee members. It's about members coming to school and paying. So we've got to attract that sort of person, and also restricted with certain things that the government want for entrance into the schools. So we really got to be dynamic, and that will tell you already that as a senior exec, it's dynamic. I mean, Walter S.X. Clark is the headmaster at the school, and he's a statesman. He's charismatic. He's that sort of person. You walk into a room and everyone stops, and there goes Walter S.S. Clark.
Wow.
So that's the type of leader he is. And other schools look at him as well as a leader as well for guidance, whatever they need to do. And then the deputies, again, I say it again, they're all strong in their different portfolios. So as a staff member coming there, you know that you're guarded, you're protected, and you're stable. I mean, the staff turnaround is min, to be quite honest with you, because they feel there's stability at Northcliffe. And again, I'm not the only one who loves Northcliffe. The teachers love Northcliffe. So as a parent now looking into that, when you've got stability from a staff point of view, you guarantee the school's safe in a safe place. You know what I'm saying to you?
I do know what you're saying. And when people feel safe, right, we see it in our personal relationships. You're fortunate enough to be a married man. James is in a relationship. Is when I've seen, and so for me, I'm a mommy's boy. My mom makes me feel safe. I'm at my best when I'm around my mother.
Safe.
When people feel safe, they will give you everything.
Sure.
If you make them feel, you know, if you make people, and I'll let you answer this, and James, you're welcome to answer as well. But if you make people, and for me, safety is around the whole spectrum, right? Is if I feel safe where I feel I can come and try and fail, and you will not see me as less. That I've always thought of safety as that. That's how I look at safety in my life. It's how I choose my friends. It's how I choose the people I try and be around. They will let me fail, and they will not think less of me after that process, however long that process takes.
Sure.
As a parent, when I hear what you're saying now, that's unbelievable for me. Because, James, I always tell you, stability is everything. And that is awesome, man. Like, I'm glad for you that you're in that place, and I think it's symbiotic from what you're saying. And you spoke of the pedagogy as well. It's something I want to address, how teachers teach young people. If you're saying it, I would imagine you're constantly addressing it at Northcliffe. How do we reach our kids? That's a big thing. Not all of them come from these middle-class homes. Already, even if I'm a parent with money, I want to hear that because I want to prepare children for the real world. Not for the... So for me, it sounds like you got something cooking there at Northcliffe.
Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm sure if you're sitting at a boys' school and you're saying, oh, you know what? This is a co-ed school. And sometimes the private schools that they also look and say, this is Northcliffe. So I'll be honest, sometimes I use it as a tool for us because I call us, we're on an island, basically. We are unique. We're not the same as everyone else.
Yeah.
No one really is fond of us because we're different and we push the envelope in different ways. But I think one thing that I need to stress with you where we are exceptional at, and even this is a message to our own parents, you know, you'll send your kid to a school where they feel, like you said, safe. They've got to be safe. But it's about the empathy as well when something happens. And I'm living it every single day. I mean, I'll just bring up one boy. He made the under-16A rugby side, and one of the other boys was injured. So he's come back into the team, and this boy has unfortunately had to be dropped from the team. But it's not just being dropped. It's about how the process works. Some coaches just say, well, it's the end for you, boy. You go down because at the end of the day, it's about me winning.
Oh, yeah.
It's about me winning. It's really what it is. But it's not the case at Northcliffe. I mean, it's about sitting with him, making him understand why, where he needs to improve. And I challenge schools because that's where you'll get it right. If you show empathy, you show the fight to try and get him back. Because I always say to people at Northcliffe especially, it's not about the A team. It's about the guys below who are fighting to get there, to get in the A team. And there's been some success stories where one of our, I'll never forget a kid, his name was Dirk Branken. He was in the D rugby side when he started at Northcliffe High School. And then by his matric year, he played first team. So for me, that is a growth. And that's that's how you should be measured. Not because, and I say it, I mean, I know I'm in the industry. You could go buy, I call them mercs.
Yeah.
You go buy a guy from wherever he comes from, whatever different province he is.
Mercenaries, huh?
Put him in the team. But the reality is, you know what you do with that culture when you go buy that guy who's not from that school. And you put him in that school and then you just destroy everything because a kid that's worked 4 or 5 years of his life to try and get into a first side. And again, it's about winning. You know what I'm saying? And you want to win the correct way. You don't want to win by just, this looks not good enough and let me just waste it and go find someone else. You know what I'm saying to you? And the reality is that you have to have empathy for these kids. You've got to care for every single child that is there because if you do that, they will run through brick walls for you. And that's the reality. And I think that's part and parcel why our rugby is doing well.
I think that's incredibly important because at a lot of these sort of boys-only private schools, your safety net isn't really there. Whereas at your setup, you might be that safety net. At a private boys' school, it's very much who you are and who your dad is, and do you live up to the sort of mottos of the school, and you know it's and that's how they build their culture.
Sure.
And I feel like when you're a lot younger, that doesn't work on kids. When you get to sort of grade 11 matric, it's kind of it's okay, but it's still not kind of preferred. And that was a huge thing for me. So I was like floating for a lot of the time that I was at Saints. Didn't know what I wanted to do when I left. And by grade 11, I'd found drama and we did plays. And, you know, I was the weird creative. He hates creative people.
It's not true. You're just really weird.
I am very weird. I was the very, very weird drama kid that would spend a lot of his breaks in the stage door theater, and that was what I wanted to do. But still, when I would walk out of the stage door, it would still be a thing of, okay, now I have to be like James the Saints boy or like whatever it is. So I think your setup that you've got there is actually nearly foolproof in terms of building kids to.
And you know what? I want to add to what James is saying. You know, there's an environment. I think you said it earlier. There's environments for everybody. I don't flourish with the opposite of what James wants. So James needed the opposite of me. For me, boys' schools were built for guys like me. Exactly. And there's environments for everybody. And I hear what James is saying. And, you know, sometimes, and you can speak to this. I don't know if you have any kids.
I do.
But as I'm getting older, something I'm realizing, and I'm sure you can speak to this because it must be terrifying to be a parent. How many kids do you have?
I've got two.
Two.
A little girl and a little boy.
Oh, my goodness. But when we're young, I always used to look at someone else's parents and go, oh, those parents are perfect. But as I get older and I get to see families from a grown-up side, there are no perfect parents. And sometimes as children, of course, we don't, but how do you tell a 16-year-old this? Is parents are trying, and they need to hear people like you who are working in these environments, I believe, because there may be a me where my mom and dad will know or not know, but I may fit at Saints. I may fit at the school I went to.
Sure.
But we do need James and the parents to know that there are other options. 100%. There is an empathetic space. There is a place where not everybody is an A-type personality.
100%.
And it's incredible to have you're going, oh, by the way, if you are A-type as well, you're welcome.
Sure.
But if you're James and you want to play music and you want to write and you want to have drama and I want to kind of move on to this, I loved something you said when we spoke on the phone, you said one of your favorite things is you're obviously a rugby guy. We've been through this and I know we're going to get to it, but you said you want to prepare people for the real world, and you see the role of an educator kind of preparing people to be, and I don't want to be glib about it, to be good citizens, not just, okay, you can play rugby, like you said on the phone, I forget your exact words, but it was actually a great phone call, by the way, like 5-minute phone call. I was so juiced, I had to go do like 15 push-ups outside. I was so juiced. But I love that. I mean, and if you're saying it again, I love that you're talking about community there. Is sometimes we forget, and you know, I went to a different type of school, and these things were things we were wrestling with back then, 2004, when I matriculated. But preparing, or maybe you can tell us, what do you think, just your school and schools at large? So I just want to be clear, you're not talking about any other school, but as an educator, what do you see your role as, and the institution you're at, which is Northcliffe, your role in preparing people for whatever it may be, you think?
Yeah, look, I think, you know, I'm fortunate, and I'll start from the beginning. So what happens when a kid walks into me to come see what school, because we do it, we do marketing around it, we bring people into the school to have a look at what the school's about, what they can offer. So we do profile people.
Sure.
And you've got to be so good at it, because you've got to make sure that you get the right person who fits in with your school. And a lot of my work is to identify if that person can fit in at Northcliffe or fit in somewhere else. So I don't only see that we're doing marketing for Northcliffe, because to be honest with you, if I see a person that comes in and fits the mold that won't fit in at Northcliffe, I will give them a suggestion where they should go fit in. Because again, it's not just about the child, it's about their path, where they're going to go, how they're going to grow as a human being, and what makes them tick.
Yeah.
You might get some kids who are, and I mean it, some you get tougher kids, you get kids that are softer. Some tougher kids can handle a boys' school environment where the matric boy says you better stand up, and I'm saying, you know, they's got to be able to handle it. Some kids will say, but hang on, who are you to tell me what I need to be doing? You know what I'm saying? So I think as parents as well, you got to be so clever at how you profile your child and where you want to put your child. And you got to get the right sort of advice and take time and all those sort of things. And I like to think that most schools have people like me who do those sort of things, because you need to profile if that kid's going to fit in there. Because if he doesn't fit in there, how many years does he waste?
5.
What does he get involved in after that?
More waste.
You know what I'm saying? If he doesn't make the A rugby side or the B rugby side, does he fade away? Is there someone that will watch him, pick him up, and grow him? So those things are so important. It's not just based on, and I hear this all the time, IEB education versus GDE education. It's what I hear all the time. But you've got to profile the child to make sure that he can fit in that, so that he gets a kickstart. And that's where it starts. Let's be honest. If it doesn't start there, by the time he gets to matric, he's lost. And I'm taking you. I mean, you, 8, 9, 10, you didn't know where you were.
Not at all.
Didn't know who you were. Grade 11, you kind of found your feet. But imagine someone found you and knew what you're about and guided you in the right way. Because let's be honest, parents are emotionally connected.
Sure.
And I see it all the time when it comes to rugby selection, when the kid gets dropped. The coach is always the bad guy.
Of course.
He's always the bad guy.
Yeah.
But instead of actually looking a bit deeper, why or what's going down, and looking at, I mean, sometimes people forget, if the boy is not making his mark on the rugby field, there's real danger in getting hurt. And if he doesn't bring that part,
Yes.
and he's not that part, I'm the custodian who's got to look after that child when he takes that field. Because the parent will be the first one to say, but hang on, you put him on the field, it's your baby. No ways.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's a whole basis around this. And I think if I look back at my kids, I think that's what worries me with my children. I mean, I'll give an example. I took my kid to rugby practice yesterday. And I love him, man.
Yeah.
I love him to death.
How old is he?
He's 9 years old.
Okay. So,
And I must say, I think
Colfoot.
Yeah, Colfoot in the dark, all sort of things. And this is me being a parent, and I vowed to myself I'll never coach my son, because it's very difficult to do that sort of environment. So I left him out there, and he went and trained. And I like to say that my boy, I try to make him do everything. So I want him to be realistic. And when he gets to high school, he can decide what he wants to do.
Yeah.
But I saw something yesterday that it hurt me a bit. I must be honest with you. He didn't have, and it's not a bad thing, he wasn't invested. He wasn't in it. He wasn't in it where it's like, yes, Dad, this is my thing. You know what I'm saying? And I saw him shy away. And for me, alarm bells were going, I'm a rugby coach. I played rugby my whole life. And he's taking the field. Is he taking the field because his dad is a rugby coach? Is his dad because his dad's a rugby player? Does my son really enjoy this? You know what I'm saying to you?
Wow.
So it was quite a moment for me. And I said, you know what, Troy, come here, my boy. And his shoulder was sore. And I don't know if it was legit or not.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying to you? But I see he was invested. Now, what parent would I be to say, listen, turn around and go back and get on there? You know what I'm saying? There's a time and place to push a child. And there's a time and place to do that. But he didn't enjoy that. That wasn't his space. So it's a lesson for me as well as a dad that I've also got to step back and I've got to let him decide what path he wants to go. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
That's incredible.
And it's a big thing for me. It really is a big
That's
thing.
incredible.
It's a big thing. But at the end of the day, that's what we've got to look at every single human being. And it goes back to when I recruit someone or bring them into the school, I need to know that this is where they're going to make their 5 years, because you said it in the beginning of the show. A school determines who you are as you go along.
Yeah.
It does. It's
Yeah.
If you went to boys high, you're boys. If you went to Kes, you're Kes boy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
who it is. My brother went to Kes, so he's an advert for Kes.
I'm sorry to hear it.
It's the truth.
Thoughts and
It's the
prayers.
truth. It's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
truth.
No, sorry for you,
But
not for.
100%. But he loves it. You know what I'm
No,
saying to you?
yeah,
So
yeah.
again, it goes back to the point. What does the school do for that child?
Yeah.
And then if you're successful there, then I bet your bottom dollar that you will be successful in life. That I can promise you. And what you don't want is the kid to blame something else, because then you're going to fail when you get out of there. I see too often it was the coach that did this or the teacher that did this or this. We need to teach kids to stand up, be accountable, take responsibility, and be a good human being, because that's the essence.
I love that.
You've got to be a good human being. I mean, every day I wake up, I think we need to make a difference in life. We need to make a difference to someone. And you can't just be mindless and just tell the kid, you better do this because I told you to do this. That doesn't work that way. You got to have intent. You got to know why you want to do things. And that's why I say teachers should get paid more than what they get paid, because they have a massive, massive role in human beings. And don't get me wrong, you get some teachers that need to be educated on how to teach children.
Yeah, pedagogy, however you say it, is a real thing.
You got to do it. And that's one thing. Teaching, I don't think they teach enough teachers how to handle human beings. And I think that's something that they should put in. You see, I was fortunate that I did psychology. I was fortunate at varsity.
I got you.
So it does help me a lot, because it helps me how to look and try and seek. And don't get me wrong, I still get it wrong. No one's perfect. You know what I'm saying to you? I mean, we're human beings. We're emotional. We get things. And let's take Saturday. I want to win on Saturday. But I got to be careful at how I want to win. Is it because of my own being, or is it because if the kids have taken the field and they've done their best, I should be happy with it and walk away? You know
That's
what
massive.
I'm saying? And
That's massive.
That's the most important thing.
Is your Saints fixture still coming up, or have you played it yet?
So we're playing tomorrow.
Saints
Yes,
tomorrow. Yeah.
Saints tomorrow.
How you feeling about that, James? Bunch of bums from the northern suburbs of Randburg. Bunch of bums playing a real school. That's going to be the coach, by the way. How fired up are those guys going to be?
I was about to say, I'm not 100% confident in Saints rugby in general.
Yeah.
But
after you've met the Northcliffe
exactly.
Look at, guys, you got to still understand there's a pedigree there. Saints has played against some of the top schools consistently, you know. So what you're changing is a pedigree.
Yeah.
Sure.
And the pedigree is a different ethos. So we are the underdogs, it's without doubt. You know what I'm saying? So even though you might think Saints' rugby is not good, they actually are good. It's just, again, who do they pit themselves against, and who do they play against, and who are they expected to beat? Who are they expected to play? So there's good human beings in that side as well. I mean, I know the coach well. So there's good people there. It's also, they've got certain things that they need to answer to. And yes, I think he's under more pressure than most, because he comes from St. Stilians. You know, he works for St. Stilians. And that's something, look, I don't know if I would ever want that sort of environment, to be honest with you.
Sure.
Because I want to work knowing that I can make a difference, and without having that pressure on your head.
And I think that's also something that sort of goes sideways sometimes. Is it's, you know, as a school and as someone who goes to the school as a student, maybe you sort of get caught up in the fact that you are a human being, and you can fail. You can give in to that pressure sometimes. Sometimes it's okay to do those things, but I think it all kind of just gets lost with the whole, you know, elite school kind of thing. And I think
I must be honest, I feel sorry for them in that, because you know what, as I say again, there's good people there.
Sure.
And they're also trying to make a living for their families.
Sure.
And they're also trying to make a difference to children. I'd like to think that's why you're an educator.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So they're teaching because they found security in St. Stilians as a job.
Yep.
And they're teaching to try and make a difference for their kids and their children. And I think the external pressure sometimes is unfair on them. So I'll be honest with you, tomorrow I want to see a good game of rugby between two good schools, because let's be honest, it might be closed by the next week. So it's like our last opportunity to maybe even play this year, which is another sad equation. And that's something I really I reach out to people to understand that, you know what, when we pull the plug on things like that, yes, safety first for children, 100%. 100%. Got it. But also what impact does it have? Because some of those boys playing tomorrow could be their last game that they'll play first team rugby for their school. And that's a massive, massive thing.
Huge.
That's a 5-year investment, by the way. I invested from grade 8.
It's what it is. It's 5 years that could be gone in 1 second.
And you can't tell an 18-year-old that, listen, your value is not this. You're going to be... all the ethos you put in, it's awesome. But I know what sportsman's mindset is, and would just please... I understand there is a wider world out there. I know sportsmen. Right? If you're in the first team, second team, if you're in a sports team, I don't care if you're in the sixth team, the investment to get on the field. Coach of mine used to say, practice should always be harder than the game. The investment when you do that for 5 years, it is heartbreaking for these kids now. And they are still children. You know,
100%.
Sometimes I think back to how we were treated. Again, it worked for my personality type.
Sure.
Listen, they are still 18-year-old, fragile young men and women. They are still developing. They don't know nuance. And that's why they need support structures like the things you've said. And I hear you, and I hope it's not the end. St. Cyrian's great institution, and I do know some of the guys there as well. And it's awesome to see you guys playing them. How are the guys feeling? Who's your captain? I mean, I'd love to get some of the youngsters on here, and we'll speak about that afterwards, because I think it's sometimes lacquer to also hear from these young men.
Sure.
How are they feeling? And listen, we will never speak to a bunch of young people that have been through what these young people have been through. Never again. Not in our lifetime. Sure. I do not think we'll have another pandemic. Whoever's up there, please know, they are going through it. What about the character just to get ready for these games these guys are showing?
Look, and I must be honest, this week has been quite topsy-turvy in regard to some of the boys have been ill. So we've been worried about it, but they've all come out. But you can see the stress on the kids' faces because they want to play. They want to be part of this.
Sure.
They want to be. So a lot of them are, and also hard things. I've had to drop some kids and make them understand why. And for them, it's also heartbreaking. I mean, one of the boys told me that his name is Matthew van der Merwe. I dropped him, and he's heartbroken. But I had to explain to him, this is why, boy, because you've got to be fair to every other single child that is out there at the end of the day.
Sure.
There could be another kid in the second team who's working his arse off just to get that shot.
Yeah.
And that's what we got to think about all the time. And now Kiana Kraus is our captain, and he's a very good rugby player.
Great name, by the way. Matrix. You haven't seen that movie. He's the chosen one.
Did you say Keanu?
Keanu Kraus.
That's
wow,
great.
that is a wild name.
James, you are playing against the chosen one. Morpheus has chosen their captain. I'm just saying,
we
James.
are playing against Mr. Red and Blue Pill himself.
If you are St. Stilians tomorrow, you are facing the chosen one, by the way. There's a light on him the whole time.
Shame,
No, but yeah, Keanu Kraus.
Yeah, Keanu Kraus. He plays flank hooker. He's a very good rugby player. But there's a lot of good rugby. Jaden White is our vice captain. He plays fly half.
Mm-hmm.
Very talented rugby player. I just wish the people in higher systems would look at this kid because he's really got something special. And I don't like talking about every individual. All the boys are really, really talented.
Yeah.
But again, that's one thing I think what makes Northcliffe dynamic is, I mean, some of the boys, if you go to a boys' school as well, sometimes you'll just play rugby or you'll just play cricket because of the numbers and volume. And we've got boys in the team that play first team cricket, play first team rugby. They play, so they're holistic again. It's about that whole holistic process. So, and look, what I am excited about, I mean, it's not often I coach a Northcliffe side there with the skill set that these guys have got. They might not be the biggest guys around, but one thing they can do is they can move the ball around the park.
Awesome.
I mean, I think practice yesterday we maybe dropped 2 balls.
Oh.
So it's unheard of. You know what I'm saying to you? And there's a good skill set. But rugby's just not based on skill sets. It's based on desire. It's based on physical presence. I always tell people it's not a contact sport. It's a collision sport.
It is.
It's a collision sport. So
well said.
unfortunately, you have to be a big boy. You've got to be a big boy sometimes in certain places. So it's how you, and that's what makes rugby so dynamic for me. It's not just a game where you get on the park and think in the old days of just because you're big and strong that you can do it. There's so many different things about the game where exit plays and turnover philosophy. The schoolboy rugby has become professional. It is what it is. It's a professional thing. I get employed to do it, and that's what it is. And most of these schools employ coaches to coach at that level because, I mean, you'll see in the news at the moment how they're talking about how schoolboy rugby's maybe got it wrong because it's so professional. And the problem is that I think it can be professional as long as you manage it in the right culture, right ethos, right way. Because then you get the right lessons out of it. I mean, you've seen some of the schools play over the festivals, and there's been some outstanding rugby.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing about South Africa, and again, I'm an avid South African. I get so cross when I hear people wanting to immigrate and all these sort of things. I'll be honest with you. But there's so much for us that other people don't have, other countries don't have. And I look at our rugby, and it's part of our culture. It's who we are as a nation. And I love it. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm so excited to see these teams play tomorrow. I'm so excited to just see these kids get out there and do their thing and play the game,
Man, listen, what time's the game? Can we watch it somewhere?
Yes, I think it's on Super Sports Schools Link. I think it's on there.
Yeah.
The game kicks off at 11:30.
All right.
But it's all the teams playing. It's a third section. Unfortunately, COVID has called some of the teams off.
Okay.
Which is under 16s and under 14s. But then the under 15s and opens are playing. So at least, again, we're finding a way to get opportunity to play rugby.
And it's still being sort of, it's reaching people outside of the actual school nowadays, because remember I told you SuperSport bought SA schools, or they bought a share in it.
They did.
So now they're going to start broadcasting a lot of the games. So the game tomorrow should actually be.
So it'll be on SuperSport?
Schools. I'll send you the link and then you can.
Oh, please do. We'll put it, old James there.
Yes.
He's the producer. He'll put it in the description. He'll make sure that we know
Where,
that,
what, and how.
that Keanu Reeves is actually the captain of. That's phenomenal.
You've nicknamed him now, so all the
It's
boys
happening.
are going to give him the
Keanu. we got to get that guy in here. One of these days, we're going to get him in here. And
How
listen,
cool would it be next week on the show to be like, we have a guest
Yeah.
this morning. His name is Keanu Reeves.
I'm going to wear.
How cool would that be?
I'm wearing the full black suit with the glasses for the whole show.
I'll
when
bring
he
the
comes.
pills.
It's
I'll
gotta
bring the
happen.
pills, and
That's
we can
gonna
do
happen.
like a whole thing.
It is going to happen, man. And you know, before we go, and this has been an awesome chat, and we'll definitely have you back, because I think, personally, again, I understand there is a bigger world. There are Jameses. There are different people. Personally, I think I wish I could take what we have in locker rooms, and the whole world has to go through it, because there is a magic to having one goal to work towards together, and it's not about you. It's what I love about, especially because you're talking about something beautiful where you're trying to achieve something. Sure. Is when you're trying to achieve something, is you have to all be focused on the same goal. And you're a coach. It is murder. Everyone wants credit. And I speak as a man. Men want credit. They do. And talented men really want credit. So I admire coaches. I admire what you're doing. And culture does not happen. And there's been something special happening at Northcliffe for a while. So there is the greater team. There's been something special happening with you and the Northcliffe rugby team, and whatever you're doing. I will not down talk any other school. We have you here, and I can see why it's gone in that direction. If you are involved, and people like you, and I know Jacques Visma, if he's involved, the quality of people is, I don't care what school you're at, talent has to be managed.
100%.
Talent has to be managed. And something you were touching on earlier, and James, I've said this to you before, and I've said it to everybody, I think South African rugby is the most professional institution in this country. And I think it is the best run sporting code in Africa. South African rugby at the school level is the most professional thing in the world. And you know what? Kids will look back to people like you when they go to their first job interview. I'm sure you tell your guys, listen, guys, and I try and say this to people. You know, my father raised me this way. 3 o'clock, right? Doesn't mean be there 3 o'clock. And I had a coach when I was younger. She always, a Russian lady, when I was playing some serious soccer, and she always used to say, listen here, gentlemen, when I say 3 o'clock, right? When I get here, you should already have warmed up. You should be ready to play football, not to be warming up. 3 o'clock isn't you're putting your bag down. And I would imagine these are ethos. I can see already.
It's the most important thing. You got to spend hours and hours of doing something in order for you to be good at something. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
And if you don't apply yourself in that sort of way, you'll be good, but you won't be the best. And practice makes perfect. It's simple. The more you do it, the better you can handle situations, the more you can handle pressure. And rugby is pressure. I mean, you got to make a decision when someone's coming to hit you, put your body in the right position, catch pass, all those sort of things. It's not just one single entity where I must carry and run over someone. I've got to identify space. I've got to put other players into space. And when you talk rugby lingo, you're talking about a positive carry or a positive tackle, or you're talking about offloading in a positive space.
Sure.
There's so many little things that go. It's not just that little rugby coach that goes and use run, slat arm, kick in, whatever. It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't.
There's so much more to the game, and from line-out work to scrum work, and it's the same with cricket and any other sport that you want to participate in. If you want to be good at it, I mean, if I look back at North Carolina, I see we've got academies that before you even get into the school, we try and develop you because we know what sort of level you need to be at to compete at the level we need. So we've got little satellite, like a little rugby academy, a little cricket academy, and it's all just to identify talents, put them in the system. And to be honest, it's all community based. It's all community based. It's within our community. We can't go to Edenvale and bring a kid from Edenvale. We can't go to the south and bring a kid from the south. We can't go to Free State and bring a kid from. It's all within our community. Find the right talent. If you see it, nurture it, develop it, and that's also part and parcel of what sport's about. You got to find it, and you know what? If certain big systems in our country just invested from the bottom up, there will be amazing growth. And there will be things, instead of just wasting money and buying money and putting it into places. If you grow it from the bottom, it might take you 7-8 years, whatever it is, but you will benefit from it. You will get the opportunities where kids can maybe one day represent South Africa at cricket or soccer or whatever it is. If it just grows properly from the beginning, you'll fly.
Man.
You'll fly.
Jimbo, you should have gone to Northcliffe.
I should have gone to Northcliffe.
Man. Do you know what my problem was? I was born 16 years too early because I could have gone to Northcliffe now and I could have had him as a coach.
No. There's a lot of good schools.
No, listen, there are great schools.
There's a lot of good coaches. I mean, I've had the privilege to work with coaches. I mean, you go to a national week and you coach it there and you see the level of coaching that we got in this country and the level of rugby players we got in this country. And my wife will often ask me is why do you do this? It's because I love it. I love the challenge. And you said it. I mean, you go to a national week where you take the Lions rugby side and you go play against the Sharks schools. And let me tell you, there's talent.
Oh, yeah.
Talent like you have never seen in your life. I mean, you go to, and like us, I know if the Grand Coma happens this year, we're playing Western Province from the start. And Western Province from a school base, Paul Boys, they've just got talent. So what better place to actually test who you are and what you're about against an opportunity like that? I mean, it's massive. And I love what I do. And I think that's the most important thing. You've got to be passionate about who you are and what you do.
Excellence is not a mistake, people. And when you got people like you know, outcomes are cool, but it sounds like excellence is not a mistake. It happens in the process. And I can't wait to have you back. We're going to have Keanu Reeves on pretty soon, which is huge for us.
He's going to kick me. It's kind of Keanu Cross.
Keanu Reeves.
He's Keanu Reeves now.
Yeah, he is.
But excellence is not a mistake. And, you know, when I hear you talking, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart because sometimes, you know, the 15, 16-year-olds, not all of them know that they must come and thank you. So for me, just as a South African citizen, because I'm a South African citizen, that's what I am. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart because when you start talking about sport, obviously that is what it is. And I think if parents feel like you're going to develop the whole human, obviously you're going to, the excellence in the rugby program is a given. That is what you're working towards. But you're also talking about developing, and we know the country we live in. We need to develop young men that understand to be an alpha is actually to protect the environment you're in. And it sounds like you're developing you're not developing rugby players, you're developing young men.
It's human beings.
And that's phenomenal to me.
It's human beings.
And I can't wait to have you back. And listen, I hope you've had a good time.
Oh, I've enjoyed it. I mean, it's not often you get to express your platform like this where you can tell people what you really feel. I mean, sometimes in my line of work, I've got to be self-calculating in what I do.
Yeah. Because
it has an impact. And in this way, if it's a platform you need to just express and tell people what's out there and what is it about and why we do what we do, for a way,
Meneer Jordan, I would expect a few extra phone calls after this for to apply for Northcliffe.
No.
It has been an absolute honor to have you, and I cannot wait to have you here again. Oh, shout out. That's big producing. Saints kid. Not bad for a Saints kid. Adjusted on the fly there. Drama guy. Wherefore art thou, Romeo?
Has a place.
Hey, that's a great... Hey, Jimbo, give us that outro music. Meneer Jordan, it's been awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, it takes... Listen, it's about developing people. That is such an awesome message. You can go and check out, of course. We'll have Northcliffe's details in the description, but we'll definitely have Mr. Jordan back. We'll have more of his team. We'll bring some of the young men in so you can get to know
Keanu Reeves in.
Keanu Reeves, that's huge. that hopefully he picks the right pill. We don't know. That is to be revealed. I just want to say, as a South African, before we go, when you have people like this that care about people, listen, I'm not an empath. I want to be honest. I've realized as I get older in life, it's something I need to work on, and it is a lifelong thing. I'm not an empath. I shouldn't be a teacher. I shouldn't be in that position, because the most valuable thing a society has, Aristotle said it way back in the day, and I love rugby for this reason. He also said this: an education in horror is a part of the civilizing process. Violence, rugby is a organized violent sport, and education in horror, which rugby is, by the way, it is a beautiful violence. It is rugby, it is violence with rules, but an education in horror is a part of the civilizing process. When you have leaders like this in that process, it gives me great hope as a South African citizen. And it's just phenomenal for me. And you'll get to see and meet great leaders like this more and more. We'll have more and more of them on. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is MKT. I look forward to Northcliffe delivering the goods tomorrow. No matter the outcome, lads, give it your best, because that's what it's about. Give it your best. Honestly, I'm sure your coach will tell you this all the time. We want to win. Northcliffe wants to win tomorrow, but give it your best. You want to be out there. Leave it all out there, because this is what your parents are going through. This is what your coaches are going through. They do this Monday to Monday. There is no off time in their lives. Lads, give yourself. You know what? My mom always says this: don't worry about making your coaches proud. Make yourself proud tomorrow. The score will take care of itself. The score is the score. To the Northcliffe boys, to the Saints boys, both sides. Ideally, now I've met this Mr. Jordan. I'll be honest. People say, hey, be professional. I want Northcliffe to win now. I've decided. I can feel this man's energy. And I look forward to everything that's going to come out of Northcliffe for the next 30 years that they have him. Because, by the way, if you're Northcliffe, pay him whatever he wants to stay. He is awesome. Northcliffe, St. Stidians tomorrow. Looking forward to that. It's going to be amazing. The young men and women are back playing sport. It's great for South Africa as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, my name, MKT. Jimbo, it's been great. Have a great weekend.
Have a great one.
To Mr. Jordan, to the Northcliffe kids, to everybody who'll be there watching from home. Enjoy it. Just enjoy it. The lads have prepared. The process is done. The hard part is done. Sport is a celebration. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope wherever you are, you're with loved ones, and just be safe. Have a great weekend, because we've had a great week. My name is MKT. This is the MKT Show. And for now, ladies and gentlemen, we are the hell out of here.